Okay, so good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are and the time zone you're located in. So, welcome to this webinar. We're very happy to be welcoming you. This webinar hosted by the Fair Labor Association and Solidaridad, entitled Climate Compliance and Worker Wellbeing. And so, if we go to the next slide, we will have a few notes just for everyone's awareness. So this webinar is being recorded because it will be made available afterwards. We will share the slides and the recording to all the participants, so not to worry about that. You can relax and listen in, and we will share those slides afterwards. And there will be a Q&A session at the end where you can ask your questions, and please post them into the Q&A box, which you can find, I think on my side, it looks like when you push on more and there's a Q&A with a little, with a little bubble where you can post all your questions, and will hopefully be able to address all of them at the end. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our esteemed panelists today. So we have Mr. Baljit Singh, who's Director of Armin Industries, who's going to share the point of view of a supplier who participated and collaborated with Solidaridad, which is represented today by 𝗪𝗪𝗲𝗍𝗍, Asia Head in charge of pollution management, MSMEs at Solidaridad, and my fantastic colleague 𝗪cie𝗺𝗿𝗹𝗶, who's Manager of Innovation at the Fair Labor Association, and I myself am 𝗪cie𝗵𝗿𝗍𝗍, Director of Innovation at the FLA as well. So with no further ado, let's move into today's session that we're very excited about sharing with you today. So this is what we will go through. I'll say a few words, brief introduction about FLA for those of you who do not know us yet. I'll say a few words about the Supply Chain Action Network, SCAN, which is the project under which this webinar is hosted on the FLA side. We will then have the pleasure to listen to 𝗪𝗪𝗍𝗍𝗍 run us through the Solidaridad Ecoscope project. We will have Baljit share a supplier perspective on how this is actually operationally implemented. And then to combine and bring all of this together, we have 𝗪cie, who will share a tool from the FLA, which is called WISE, which is a grievance mechanism, and which has actually a lot of connection with the decarbonization efforts of Solidaridad. And so that's what we will present to you today. So if we move to the next, and the Q&A at the end, as I said before. So the FLA, very quickly, so we are the Fair Labor Association, 𝗪cie and myself. We were founded 27 years ago as a multi-stakeholder initiative and a non-profit organization. We work on human rights due diligence and labor standards across the full value chain. We are today 53 staff across 17 countries with 5 registered locations, and we work with many universities, labor and civil society organizations, as well as many companies, as you can see. And you have a pretty picture of our board of directors, which is the backbone of Fair Labor Associations, independence and credibility. And you have a picture here of them in 2025, where the different constituencies are represented. If we move to the next slide, perfect. So now I'll speak very quickly about this program that at the FLA we call the Supply Chain Action Network, or SCAN. So what is SCAN? SCAN is a pilot project of the Fair Labor Association to address Tier 2 and Tier 3 supply chain levels. So for those of you who are not very familiar with supply chain levels, very often, and we represented that with a graphic here, you have companies on operations. They will buy from one supplier in the supply chain that, for example, is the assembly of apparel. Tier 2, Tier 3, that can be fabrics and yarn, and then Tier 4 is cotton here in this example. And traditionally, the Fair Labor Association has worked significantly on the own operations, tier 1 of the supply chain, and tier 4. That's where we have been very strong in the past. And we are now strengthening that further in the middle tier value chain, which is tier 2 and tier 3, so yarn and fabrics. And this is what the Supply Chain Action Network is about. So it's really about addressing that middle tier supply chain. And if we move to the next slide, we have how that is actually done operationally in terms of content. So it is about companies' individual actions, so supporting companies with risk assessment, strategy advice, or things like that. Collective action, so looking at global risk assessments, joint global risk assessments, for example, supplier awareness and engagement, etc. Tools and capacity, for example, we have tools around traceability or risk assessment tools. We do research, and one that I want to highlight here is, as the Fair Labor Association, we're very aware of the impacts of climate change on workers, and we have a significant work stream inside the FLA at the moment, working on heat stress research guidance, as well as a guidelines or tool for the companies to look at ways in which the climate change impacts workers, and also how a just transition towards decarbonization or a decarbonized economy can be made possible. So this is, for example, an example of that research work stream. And finally, last but not least, part of SCAN is the peer exchange and learning. And so the SCAN learning series is the program under which we're hosting today's webinar. And if we move to the next slide, we have this learning series, which is really focused about the upstream supply chain. And the principle each time is that we invite one external or several expert organizations that work on upstream tiers of the supply chain to really share practical tools and examples. And just for memory, the last session that we did before the summer was about tier fund and human rights due diligence in the recycled plastics and recycling sectors. And so today we have the pleasure of hosting Solidaridad with us, as we said, to share some of their work on decarbonization, specifically on the tier 2 level of the garment supply chain in India. And then, as we said, Nisha will run us through this worker voice tool from the FLA, which is called WISE, that can collect worker feedback, especially if you are investing in worker welfare schemes as part of decarbonization efforts. And if you're lost right now, don't worry, we will go through this and explain that in further detail just after. And so at the end, and we're very happy to share this today with you, we are envisaging a pilot between the FLA and Solidaridad on this. And so if there's any companies or suppliers, brands or suppliers that are interested to participating in this program at the end, you're very welcome to reach out to us, and we can, explore that together. And now, without further ado, I hand it over to Tahir for the Solidaridad part.
Thank you very much, Maxime, for already a great start. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. At the outset, I thank FLA to partner with us to organize this very, very meaningful webinar of today. Hope my slides are visible now.
They are.
Yeah. Great. So I'm going to speak about...
It works. Go ahead. Sorry.
Great. So I'm going to speak today about one of our very exciting model, which is 𝗖𝗍𝗄 that connects pollution, people, and profitability. So introducing myself, 𝗪cie𝗺𝗶𝗵, I'm based in New Delhi, India, which is the regional headquarters of Solidaridad in Asia. I am really privileged to complete my 12 years with Solidaridad. Now I'm responsible to coordinate our vertical related to textiles in Asia region. And as you can see, Solidaridad is an international civil society organization originated from for 58 years ago from Netherlands. And now we are present in around 50 countries across the globe through different regional headquarters located in United States, Europe, Africa, as well as in Asia. When we talk about Asia, especially with reference to our textiles work, so we are present in India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, China, Indonesia. While we have our presence in 9 countries in Asia, where we are covering number of agricultural commodities on sustainable supply chains. With particular context of textiles, we started our work close to three decades before 2001 when we launched a fair trade organic denim brand, which was completely sustainable. So this was launched in 2001 with the name of 𝗪cie. And this is really great that if we still go online, we can find this sustainable product. Then we got opportunity to work in China through a project Better Mills Initiative, which was started from 2013, in which we worked with 43 mills. This project was ended in 2015, where we got opportunity to work with 43 textile mills, mainly the wet processing mills, with the focus of water optimization, energy reduction, etc. That project gave us a good success. The success was scaled up to Bangladesh through our project Partnership for Cleaner Textiles, which was started from 2015, ended it in 2018, where again we focused on 65 textile mills, wet processing mills, again replicating our success to Bangladesh. Then we got opportunity to work in Ethiopia. We again under execution of a very good project in collaboration with Dutch brands with the name of Better Mills Initiative, where we are again taking up our earlier credentials to the next levels in Bangladesh. And we also got success to create some good impact in last 2 decades. For example, we got success to reduce more than 6 million tons of water. We got success to reduce more than 15 million kilowatt per hour of electricity saved. We trained we introduced hundreds of technical measures, built capacity of close to 30,000 workers. So what exactly Solidaridad is doing differently? Because whenever we talk about wet processing enterprises, manufacturing sector, because of the nature of work, this also knows for some pollution reasons. So I want to give an example of our work from India. When in 2017, there was a challenging situation to a leather geography, leather cluster located in Kanpur region, northern part of the country. This comprises of around 400 leather enterprises, tannery enterprises, but because of the pollution nature of work, it was known for the pollution reason to a very, very important river in our context. And the regulator, the government was seriously exploring whether either we should relocate this particular sector to other geography or we should close this industry. So yes, there were some pollution reasons, but that particular cluster was also providing employment to more than 150,000 workers. So when we talk about pollution, it comes to our mind that this is environmental issue. So actually, this is not only environmental issue. This connects to the livelihood of the people. So in 2017, based on the request we received from Embassy of Netherlands in India and Government of India, we formulated a 5 years duration project where we focused on this at the source. Because it was really important to address the issue at source itself. Prevention is better than cure, rather only focusing on the end of pipeline solutions. So we started this project from 2017, which for 5 years project. Thankfully, that project came out as a model project for both Government of India, Government of Netherlands. This project received number of acknowledgements at national, international platforms. We got success to reduce water optimization, water usage by around 40%. Toxic effluents were reduced. Ultimately, it resulted in the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions as well. So the success of Kanpur was scaled up to around 80% of the leather geography within 5 years, where government acknowledged Solidaridad as their sustainability partner. And the success was also replicated to the adjoining countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Even this was scaled up to the Ethiopia in Africa, eastern part of the Africa. So whatever work we have done in the leather tanneries, the government of India encouraged Solidaridad to replicate the same model to the textile dyeing units, mainly focusing on the tier 2, as mentioned by Maxim as well. So in tier two, we were given this project by government of India. The project duration was for 4 years, and the project cost was close to 2.3 million, where government contributed 80% of the project cost, while Solidaridad contributed raised 20% of the project cost. So the focus of that project was that the mandate given by government that we should establish a model where we can reduce water consumption up to 30% in volume, we can reduce chemical consumption up to 25%, we can reduce energy consumption up to 12%, and there were some relevant issues for workers as well. So now, because the project is moving towards closure, there was independent evaluation validation conducted by competent national and international agencies. They conducted a thorough 6 months independent validation, and as per the figures achieved after validation, the project got success to reduce water consumption in between 30 to 34%. The chemical consumption is reduced in between 22 to 26%. The energy consumption is reduced close to 9%, and which is translating the GHG emission reduction close to 3,700 tons carbon dioxide equivalent from a single factory. And whatever interventions or innovations we have introduced, most of these innovations are mainly process optimization or low cost intervention with a clear return on investment of starting from 6 months to 15 months. So this created impact on water, chemical, ultimately environmental aspects, social issues, but this also gave clear benefits on the economic part as well. When we got success to reduce chemical consumption 22 to 26%, there are economic gains. When we got success to reduce energy by 9%, there are economic gains. So this is something, this model we have termed as eco-scope model. And this is one of the assurance statement given by this German entity TÜVSÜD, who conducted, we executed actually 17 interventions. They shortlisted 8 out of 17 interventions most relevant on the GHG emission reduction. And after this 6 months thorough assessment, they gave us this statement that with our work, 3,700 tons carbon dioxide is saved from a single factory on annual basis. So now we want to respectively propose to the respective brands and businesses, international brand and businesses. We want to collaborate as Solidaridad and FLA with our respective skills to decarbonize their supply chain. So we will work with the suppliers of the respective brand business, and we will help them to implement the right kind of interventions and we will come out with the figures on carbon reduction. So as we all know that the missing link, international brands, yes, this is one of the priority of international brand businesses to reduce emissions. The supplier also needs support. Sometimes supplier really want to execute interventions, but that supplier is not that aware what is the techno-economically viable solutions for them. Ultimately, all this work should also be connected with the worker. So we are coming out with this model. What we are proposing, that we want to execute a pilot project with the respective brand or business where we will decarbonize their supply chain. Ultimately, this will also result to the worker welfare. How? Because, for example, we got success to reduce 2,000 tons carbon from GHG emissions from a single factory. Then we will encourage, we will motivate, we will request the respective brands. I'm privileged that there are progressive brands already available in this particular webinar. So we will propose that whatever carbon we will reduce, it will go for the insetting, carbon insetting by the respective brand, and whatever we will earn. For example, by doing the carbon insetting of the 2,000 tons carbon dioxide, for example, we save 4,000 or 5,000 US dollars. So these 4,000 or 5,000 US dollars will be reinvested for the betterment of the worker through Worker Carbon Premium Committee. This will be a committee. Either this will already exist, so this will be done in close consultation with the factory owner. Otherwise, we will formulate this Worker Carbon Premium Committee so that they can take a decision. They can recommend their preference, their requirement, that you invest this 4,000 or 5,000 US dollars to improve our crash facility, or to improve our insurance aspects, or to strengthen or to improve our work conditions, or to help us in improving our skills so that their livelihood can go to the next level. So carbon insetting will benefit to the worker. So this particular model will propose a win-win proposition to all the stakeholders, international brand, business, or the supplier, or the worker, or even the respective government, because they are also looking for that. And ultimately, this will also fulfill the mandate of international organizations like FLA or Solidaridad. So this is something we will do. I already mentioned we will do the carbon, we will reduce the carbon. There will be a proper validation. Then the insetting credits will be generated. Then ultimately it will be invested for the betterment of the worker. So I am also proposing a rough timeline. So for example, we are doing this webinar in August. We will check whoever brand or business come forward. We will collaborate. We will take factories on board. This will be done in the next 2 months, September, October. Then implementation, including scoping, will be done in next 6 months time, from October to March. In-setting model will be designed from January to March. There will be independent validation from April and May by the competent agency. Ultimately, we will close the project in June 2027. So this will be a 9 months duration project. And the cost we have estimated for doing this project is close to 40,000 US dollars. Out of 40,000 US dollars, Solidaridad already have some resource. So we can contribute to establish this pilot model close to, we can invest 50%, for example, 20,000 US dollars on this particular pilot project. FLA is also coming forward with their contribution in the form of in-kind contribution, close to 10,000 US dollars, while we will request the respective brand or supplier to invest 5,000 to 10,000 US dollars to make this unique model in their supply chain. So there will be role of Solidaridad Asia, project management, technical support, training, monitoring. Solidaridad Europe, located in Netherlands, is already have a great partnership with number of progressive brands. So they will help in strategic alignment. Fair Labor Association will lead on the worker part, being a globally reputed organization on these issues. Then brand will help in designing in-setting model and governance. Suppliers will help in implementation, and ultimately the third party independent entity will validate. So why partner with us? We have cluster credibility. We are proposing this pilot for India. So we have our good credibility in respective clusters. We have the technical capacities. We are inviting independent entities for the technical validation. We have good trust at ground, and we have good experience. I would say more than 2 decades of experience working with brands and businesses. And when we are collaborating with FLA, the experience goes to the next level. So thank you very much. I think I have completed in my presentation in the given time. Thanks once again to our FLA colleagues to organize this wonderful webinar. And I'll be very happy to answer if any question comes from the respective audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Tahir, for respecting by the second the time you were provided. May I invite Mr. Singh to take the floor?
Mr. Singh is one of the progressive partner of Solidaridad in Panipat region of located in the northern part. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Zeni, and thank you, FLA, for giving the platform to represent my company and to represent the experience I have gained from the technical advice given by the Solidaridad in last 2-3 years. Actually, my company, my name is 𝗪𝗲𝗶𝗵, and I'm representing Armin Industries, which is a manufacturing unit in a Panipat textile cluster. It is a city of home textile and furnishing items, just like Qingdao city and Haining city in the China. It is the largest city for manufacturing the home textiles items in India, and we are manufacturing since 2017, and we are manufacturing daily around 1 lakh meter of bedsheet fabric and 20,000 meters of furnishing fabric. We are also supplying to the leading exporters in India, which are supplying across the globe, especially serving the markets of Europe and UK. Our operations actually support the employment of around 700 families and livelihood in the region. Sustainability is the core objective. Since 2017, we are committed to this sustainability factor and mainly to the environmental impact from our manufacturing facilities or manufacturing journey. We have from the start 2017, we are committed to this and to reduce the environmental impact from our manufacturing operations. Technical knowledge, technical guidance, and strong implementation partners are necessary. So in 2024, we came to know about the Solidaridad. They have supported us. They have taken us on board. They have provided many practical interventions with measurable results. At first, we are not sure that they will provide such good results, but later on, we find very good results from interventions they have made. From the major interventions, I can describe from four to six major interventions. I'm listing that now. First one is the 100% water utilization, which is generating from water jet looms from the weaving of the fabric. 100% water is utilized, optimized, around 300 KL per day. That is the effluent generating from 250 looms. We are successfully utilizing that water by installing the DEF automation system. Secondly, chemicals. They have reduced hydrochemical in almost 50% in the fabric washing process. And third one is they have successfully installed the heat recovery system to recover the heat from the wastewater that is draining from the fabric washing machine. And we have achieved around 8 to 10% fuel efficiency in the boiler because of this. And also, besides this, we have increased biological aerobic treatment plant from 150 KL to 800 KL plant for printing effluent. Because of this aerobic biological plant, we have reduced almost 60 to 70% of the chemical consumption which we are earlier using to treat the water. Also, we have installed automatic valves for optimizing the steam in the fabric washing machine, and also we have done the gliding of the jet machines to save the steam and the fuel. And besides all these factors, besides all these interventions, they have also provided the occupational health and safety training to each and every worker, around 700 workers working in our factory, and they have timely given the training to the workers, like safety protocols, firefighting, first aid. They have given all that training to the workers also. And what we have assessed also from these interventions with the help of Solidaridad, that we have almost achieved 330 tons of CO2. That is estimated reduction because of that DEF system at ETP, and around 758 tons of CO2 estimated reduction from the hot drain recovery. These are the major two achievements we have achieved with the help of the interventions. And besides this, they have continuously promote the workers' place to be safer and improve the awareness among the workers to make them more skilled, so that they can efficiently carry out these interventions. They have strengthened the practices that protect the health and well-being, and combine the environment improvement with better workplace practices. So last at what I have learned about the key takeaway that sustainability becomes more effective only when the technical expertise, practical factory level implementation, and measurement of results came together. So thank you once again for the FLA to given this platform to represent my work and to represent the Solidaridad experience I have gained in these 2-3 years. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Singh, for these insights and sharing your experience with Solidaridad. So now, moving to the worker piece in itself, handing over to my fantastic colleague Nisha, who will walk us through the WISE worker app. Nisha, over to you.
Thank you, Maxim. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is 𝗪cie𝗺𝗶𝗵 and I am the Innovation Manager at the Fair Labor Association. And I will be walking you through the WISE app and how it fits into this decarbonization pilot. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so before I go into the 3 features of WISE, just a very brief background as to how we came up with the idea of WISE. So before we actually developed the WISE, we were sort of doing a stock taking of all the available tools out there that companies using to engage with their workers. And what we found out was that most of the tools out there were only pulling information from workers. So that's where we at the FLA envisioned a tool that does not only pull information from the workers, but is also able to push information to the workers to further empower the workers. So we really wanted an app that has a two-way communication for employers and employees to engage with one another. Hence, the idea of WISE was developed. So the WISE app has 3 core functions. Pillar 1 is resources and news. Pillar 2 is surveys, worker feedbacks, and Pillar 3 is the connect function, which is the two-way communication. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so on the worker resources function of the app, we wanted an app where employers can push information to the workers. So this is where employers or companies are able to push, for example, training materials, new legislations or regulations, new laws that come into existence, what are the workers' rights, and for example, what does climate action means, what does decarbonization means, what can workers do to contribute to the decarbonization strategy of the company. So this is where the company can push information out to the workers, whether in the form of text or videos. Next slide, please. And then the second function, which is the survey function, it allows companies to very quickly send surveys to the workers to get their feedback. Apart from just getting feedback from the workers, this survey function can also serve as a baseline or an end-line assessment. For example, a training that has been conducted. Employers or companies can very easily use the survey function to find out if the workers were able to comprehend the training that has been conducted, or just to set a baseline before any training is developed. Yeah. And thirdly, the next slide, please. Thirdly is the connect function. So the connect function allows employees to communicate with the employer. Its primary function is, of course, as a grievance channel. However, it also allows employees to not only just submit a grievance, but if they have a question that they want to ask their employer, or if they want to clarify something, or to provide suggestions to the employers, they can very easily use the connect function to ask a question, chat, or report a complaint. Yeah, and they can do this via text, or they can submit a voice recording, a video, or pictures to support their questions, for example. So once a worker submit a complaint, a question, or just any information that they use the connect function, it opens the two-way communication. So once that information is received from the employer, and the employer can now can now start communicating directly with the employee. Yeah, it opens that two-way communication platform. Next slide, please. Now, very quickly, the benefits of this app. It is, of course, first and foremost, a two-way communication tool with workers, and it's done anonymously. It is also a smartphone application which allows workers to use the app from anywhere. They don't have to be at the workplace to access the app. And then it also allows for easy management of data. So at the end of every month, there is data analytics that will be uploaded into the backend of the app, and then the employees are able to see trends and data collection. Yeah, and then it is also embedded with readily available content such as worker resources, surveys that employers can already readily push out to their workers. It is also customizable in terms of targeting specific groups, content focus, benchmarking, and of course it is also compatible with the UNGP on business and human rights. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now, the WISE app is available for download on both Apple and Android. So workers can very easily download the app through links that are shared with them or through QR codes. Yeah. So in our experience, the QR codes is the preferred choice for workers to download the app, but it is available on both Apple and Android. Next slide, please. And once a worker download the app, the registration process is very simple. They just select their language, and then they would have to agree to the terms and put in very basic information like their job, and most importantly is they would have to put in a program code. So a program code is a code that is given to each program. So for example, for this pilot, each factory will be given a code that is to segregate all of the information that is coming from one factory against another. So we don't want a situation where workers from another factory is participating in this factory's programs or surveys, etc. Yeah, so each factory will have their own individual code. And then once that is done, a unique ID will be generated for the worker, and this is how we communicate with the worker. So if a worker logs out of the app and they want to go back in, use the app again, we don't ask for their email address, their phone number, or their name. They only need to use the unique ID to log back into the app, and then they can retrieve all of their chat logs, their grievance logs, and everything. Yeah. Okay, next. Now, this is where we have launched WISE and is currently in use, and also where we are planning and exploring. Yeah, so we have already launched WISE in Guatemala. We have it in both Spanish and MAM, and we are planning to roll out in Honduras and Nicaragua in Spanish as well. We are also exploring rolling it out in Colombia. So Honduras and Nicaragua is in the pipeline. And in Turkey, we have launched the app previously in the manufacturing sector in the Turkish language, and we are also exploring rolling it out in the agriculture sector. Also in Egypt, in Arabic language. We already have existing programs in India, in both Hindi and Kannada, and we are currently exploring Philippines as well. Next slide, please. Okay, and before I go into the pilot, I just wanted to clarify that the WISE program is both sector and geography agnostic. Yeah, so it can be launched in any language and anywhere in the world, in any sector. Yeah. Okay, so now how decarbonization and the worker engagement through WISE comes together for the pilot in India. Yeah. So the objective of the pilot is really to use worker engagement to educate, first and foremost, educate workers on decarbonization, and to better enable the allocation of workers' funds that are earned through the carbon credits. Yeah. So the expected outputs is having the workers engaged right from the get-go, because what we anticipate is workers who are engaged are more likely to support the decarbonization strategy. Yeah. So what we are trying to do is ensure the workers are there at the core of the just transition strategy, and that their opinion matters right from the beginning, and that they are part of the decision-making process. For suppliers, of course, participating in this pilot will save them in terms of cost, but more than that, it will also help decarbonize their factory. For brands, on the other hand, it will help fulfill their decarbonization targets, and they can then eventually invest the carbon credits that they earn to be redeemed later. Yeah. Now, the expected investment. So for suppliers, we expect a commitment of at least 1 year, as the tier mentioned earlier. It's about 9 months, but we expect everything right from setting the foundation until the closure of project to take about 1 year. And then from Solidaridad's side, Tadir has already mentioned, they will be investing about $20,000 per factory in terms of the decarbonization plan and human resources. From the FLA side, we will be investing about close to 10,000 per factory in the form of the app rollout and also human resources in managing the app rollout. Now, for the brand commitment, of course, we are currently looking for companies and suppliers to participate in the pilot. So we would like brands who are interested to nominate suppliers who are based in Panipat or Noida, India, to take part in the pilot. And it will cost about 4,500 to, I think, about 5,000 as an upfront investment, which can then be earned through carbon credits, yeah, eventually. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll just very quickly go through this because Tati had already covered the different steps of the pilot. But again, to walk you through again what we will be doing using the WISE app. First and foremost, engaging the suppliers on decarbonization and engaging the workers and equip them with the knowledge about WISE and how it can be implemented. Yeah. And then step 2 will be the mapping of the facilities. We'll be mapping the workers, the facilities, the worker structures, whether there is a committee, whether there is representatives, and also to assess the smartphone penetration at the factory level. And then step 3 is creating an action plan. This action plan is on the development of the decarbonization plan and also the worker engagement plan using WISE. So this will be developed and then shared with the workers. Their inputs and feedbacks will be taken into consideration through focus group discussions that we will be having with the workers. And then step 4 will be onboarding the workers. Yeah, we'll be building the capacity of the workers, representatives and committees on the rollout of the decarbonization plan and on the WISE app as well, on how to use the WISE app and how they can further share the knowledge of how to use WISE with the other workers. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, for phase 2, it is the deploy and engage. We will start deploying the solutions. We will deploy WISE and the decarbonization plan both at the factory level. And then step 6 will be improving worker awareness. This is where we'll be using the news and resources function to push information to workers in the form of simplified plans, videos, and Q&As. And then lastly, deploy worker surveys to gather feedbacks. Yeah, so we'll be using the survey function to survey workers on the use of the decarbonization premiums. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, so FLA contacts for the decarbonization and WISE pilot. You can contact myself, or you can contact my colleague 𝗪ક્ષη𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃 or Dilshan, who is based in India. You can also reach out to us specifically on WISE. We are happy to engage with you on that as well, but feel free to engage any one of us or our colleagues at Solidaridad if you're interested in the pilot. Thank you, and over to you, Maxim.
Thanks a lot, Nisha. So just to wrap it all up, so I think it was hopefully interesting for you. You've learned something. So really to put it all together, I think the basic idea is that the decarbonization efforts of the tier 2 suppliers in that supply chain through the program of Solidaridad can be tied together with worker welfare and worker benefits. And that's where the FLA, through that worker voice app, the WISE app, can provide the sort of technical expertise to really, and the tools to make sure that these worker welfare funds are actually allocated in a way that makes sense for these workers. And that for us really fits well together with that idea of a just transition, i.e., making sure that the workers are at the center, well, the workers and their needs are at the center of the decarbonization efforts. And that's why we're proposing this idea or this pilot as a partnership between two leading organizations that have expertise, in our case in labor rights, and in the case of Solidaridad in decarbonization. Voilà, so that's it, what we wanted to share. Well, we want to make sure that we have 10 minutes for the questions. And so if you have, again, the contacts were shared. So if you're interested, please reach out. We're very, even if it's exploratory, discussions, but we're very eager to exchange and engage around this, eager for your feedback as well. So don't be shy. And now, without further ado, I open the floor for questions. And so I saw that we had some in the Q&A box already. So please use the Q&A box if you want to drop any questions. And maybe I see there's one from Kate on, can you share any examples of the safety improvements? I think, Tatia, that one I will hand over to you, because I think that is related to the examples that you were mentioning.
Thank you, Maxima. That's a very relevant question. So, what we did, there are already compliance parameters as per the Factory Act. So, most of the factories are already fulfilling those requirements, but we are actually doing beyond that. For example, we did some process-wise analysis that what should be the safety protocol for the workers to take extra preventives. So, with the help of well-recognized, qualified occupational health experts, I myself is a lead auditor, qualified auditor on the subject of occupational health and safety. We came out with a OSHA's framework, Occupational Health and Safety Assessment Series framework, which can help workers to understand the safety-related issues in a simple way. And then my colleague Veer Mehta is here, who is already coordinating our decent portfolio, decent worker related portfolio. So he also came out with some exciting tools to map the risk and how can we mitigate that risk in a practical manner. Thank you.
Thanks, Tahir. I'm looking at the question. There's another question from Kate about nearby communities in the longer run. And Kate is very nice. She says, this is wonderful. Has there been consideration of 𝗖𝗹𝗶 for nearby communities in the longer run, and especially if a cluster of factories improving to help track water quality improvements? I mean, this is probably a question to all of us. I think right away, this is focused on workers because this is really linked to the factory. But of course, in the medium, and I mean, workers are part of the local community in general. But of course, I think this is a great suggestion more for medium term. Right now, we're just trying to launch this as initial pilot just on these factories and the workers that are associated with this. But that can definitely be explored as a sort of medium term or next step idea, how these local communities can be involved. That is definitely a great idea and suggestion. I don't know if any other panelist wants to say something to that. I don't know.
Yeah, Maxim, I'm happy to jump in, although you have covered most of the discussion. So, Kate, I think so when we had the meeting with Solidaridad in India with the managing director there.
Maybe reach out. Sorry, just
Yes.
introduce yourself because
Yes,
I don't
sure.
think I know who you are, just to make sure.
Sorry, I'm 𝗪cie𝗵𝗏𝗏, Executive Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer at the Fair Labor Association. I'm happy to meet all of you. We had a meeting with Solidaridad a few weeks back. I was in India, and in fact, the idea was to start larger and at a cluster level. And when we talk about cluster includes the community. But then we were like, okay, can we get at least 1 or 2 factories to start with? Let's start small, or 2, 3 factories to start with. So I think if there is an indication, from the stakeholders, including companies and suppliers, that we actually want to take it broader, I think it's definitely something we can look at. I'm not sure, and these workers, as Maxim said, are part of the communities. But I'm not sure if having 1 or 2 workers feedback at the community level would be, workers from 1 or 2 factories is good enough. But if we get a broader group of factories to participate in this work, that's, I think, when we can definitely look at the survey. Yeah, so that's what we can say. So I think we are really calling upon factories and and suppliers and companies to participate, so that whatever you're thinking can actually be operationalized.
Thanks, Richa. There's this other question from Anthony Raju, and I'm going to call in Nisha. So the question is, what kind of grievances can the workers mention in the WISE app?
Sorry, I was struggling to unmute. Yeah, so the WISE app on its own, its primary function is, of course, as a grievance mechanism. Yeah, so it functions as a grievance channel. Whatever grievance that a worker feels like, it is against their labor rights, their human rights, or dissatisfaction at the workplace, they can use the WISE app to submit the grievance. Yeah. However, for this pilot, so there's 2 functions of WISE. WISE on its own in a separate function where it works as a grievance channel for the employer. They can use it to receive grievances, address grievances, and all of that, including the resource functions, the survey functions as well. However, for this pilot, we are using it as a worker engagement. So we will be using the chat function rather than the grievance function to engage with the workers. Separately, on its own, WISE as the grievance channel, it functions as any other grievance channel. It is there to receive any type of worker grievances that an employer usually receives from their employees.
Thanks, Nisha. We also have another question from Manuela, who asks, are there cooperations with other initiatives along these lines to allow for wider best practice sharing? I mean, I think at this stage, so we're, again, just starting this as a pilot, just on a few factories, FLA and Solidaridad. This is really to test the concept, to see what works, what doesn't. Definitely for us from the FLA perspective, we are, always transparent about what we do, and certainly we would be sharing either through a report or some other form, maybe a follow-up webinar, we don't know yet, the sort of results and the lessons learned, what worked, what did not. And certainly we're always open for suggestions and more collaboration, because that's how you can scale things up. But again, at this stage, as we're just at the I would say piloting and testing this, it would be mostly FLA and Solidaridad at this stage. And Anthony also had another question: is 40,000 USD enough for intervention? Does it include the hardware for the technical solutions? So Taya, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer, because most of the interventions are low-cost interventions. So this 40,000 is a good estimate to execute this particular pilot. So the hardware is also included, because we are not going to do high capital intensive project. Mainly, we are focusing on process optimization, ultimately resulting in decarbonization.
Perfect. Thanks to hear.
In
All
case
right.
anybody need more question, they can also send us over email. We would be very happy to answer.
Of course. Thanks, Taylor. So I think I see no more questions, so that's good. We're right on time. So I think I'd like to thank all the panelists for joining and for providing all these insights into how to link together, how we can potentially link together decarbonization efforts with worker well-being and improvement of worker welfare. If you have any follow-up questions or want to have a discussion, as we said, please reach out. And as Tatia said as well, the Solidaridad team is very open as well. So this is a call to action. Discuss this internally and let us know if there's interest or want for more information. We will, as we said in the beginning, share the recording and the slides with all the participants in this webinar. And finally, I'd like to finish by thanking all of you for listening in and being with us for this hour. And with that, thanks everyone, and have a nice evening, afternoon, or morning. Thank you.